You are live.
Whoa.
Whoa. Convict and colonizer on the screen again together.
That's us. That's what we'd be if we were in a cartoon. Like
Yeah.
Scratchy.
Yeah. So this is part 2 of a previous stream that we did, which was
that you ruined.
That I ruined.
I think someone. Well, you kind of like you left out of nowhere. I don't think I ever actually established what happened.
Oh, yeah.
Did someone else die?
Yeah.
Just like relatives on standby you can kill.
Or it's the live stream that's killing them. Yeah. I was brutally sick this week as well, aside from all the the death. I had like such a bad dry cough that I was like lying in bed constantly having to like swallow and keep myself from choking, to the point that when I did eventually just pass out, like go unconscious from exhaustion, I would immediately wake up like choked awake again. So yeah, I'm feeling much better now. And anyway, there's a
that's good.
Brutal image for everybody.
That sounds like a scamdemic to me.
Yeah. Just a second. We've got some people in the chat. I'm going to need to...
Oh, wait. I can see this. Oh, hello, Izzy Fox.
Yeah.
Yes. I can make people aware of this on my end. It's just if I do that, then, we should have so many comments. Let's do it. I will make people aware of this happening on my end.
Cool.
Yes, so that they can distract. So, all right.
Yeah, the conversation can be as unwatchable as possible.
Exactly. Like, this person said this.
Yeah. Cool. Yep. All right. Let's go. So, So we got interrupted. I don't remember whether that was back before I lost my original @FlyingGender Twitter page, because I think it might have been because I lost the original like list of comparisons, and basically had to kind of like reconstruct it. I used Grok a fair bit to be like, Grok, what do you think?
Ultra intellectuals.
Yeah, exactly. I was quite obsessed with Grok for a little while there. But I was looking for a video recently and it literally rickrolled me. And I was like, I don't trust you anymore. How does a robot accidentally? And it was like, I did it by accident. It's like, come on, man. You've got it. I don't know what it was, but I don't trust you anymore.
This sounds like the start of you going down that road where AI becomes your friend. Like you've already got banter with it.
Yeah. It's way past that point. I'm just getting it to replace all my dead relatives at this point. So I did kind of come up with like 50 or so again. But there were there have since been 2 where I was like, oh, that should have been on the list and that should have been on the list. So I have those. So I'm not sure how you want to go about like getting back into this, whether you wanted to take it away with like what you wanted. Your initial thoughts.
I think I shall start because I'm the guest. No, first of all, I did want to remind everyone of because I also have the 2 reasons that we got through last time, and the fact that I'm saying 2 reasons should make everyone terrified at the fact that you said you now got 50. So the 2 that I had was, first of all, the fact that like with trans ideologues, when you say like, oh, you're transphobic, then it's often like very accepted for someone to say like, oh yeah, I am transphobic, because at the end there you don't recognize the thing. And then obviously I was talking about how there are lots of genetical people who, when someone says like, oh, you're anti-Semitic, and then to an anti-Zionist person, they say, yeah, you know what? If you're going to call me anti-Semitic, I don't care, whatever, like that. And then obviously they'll go, oh, no, you can't do that. So that kind of hypocrisy around, like, not only, and there's kind of the broader thing of using those terms, transphobic, anti-Semitic, to shut down the debate, which is kind of the obvious one. But then, like, the fact of clutching your pearls when someone is just like, you know what, I can't even be bothered with being constrained by those like labels. And then I suppose I'll just throw out the other one I got as well, because yeah, like I said, we did actually cover these last time, but yeah, I just thought, why not remind everyone? And this one's another really obvious one, which is that they're both pushed for by an elite, often in contrast to the opinions of the overall population. Most people don't actively vote for pro-Zionist policies, just like most people don't vote for pro-trans policies. Yes, so those are kind of the two that I brought up last time. And I suppose, yeah, maybe in the interest of keeping things moving, I will move on to just we'll start with a relatively small one. Again, a pretty obvious one, but it's just the whole guilt by association thing. So this is like kind of like super obvious. In fact, it's literally the same people, Nazis. When gender critical people do things, there will be fascists, people on the right who will agree, not because of like any of the gender critical criticisms, but just because men in dresses, gross, sounds Jewish, and that's what. And yeah, and then obviously, like that's like one of the trans ideologues' most popular arguments, just being like, well, the people on the bad side agree with you. But then, of course, Zionists, they kind of do it like almost on like three levels. So first of all, the obvious one would be Nazis again. Like, oh, the Nazis hate Jews, so do you hate Jews? Blah, 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 blah. Second one would be radical Islamists. Oh, ISIS, blah, 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 blah. And that one is, of course, likely to be used against women and indeed gay people. And, well, all, let's call them gender and romantic and sexual minorities, as they are called. That's the new woke term. And then just the final level of it from gender critical people is they'll say, well, wokies on the left support Palestine. So that shows how. So it's kind of like there's almost like three levels of guilt by association with the Zionists. So they've got the gender criticals beat, like gender critical. Sorry, they've got the trans ideologues beat, because the trans ideologues, they just have, oh, you're a Nazi. But the Zionists, they have, you're a Nazi and an Islamist and you're woke, and all of those things are equally there.
And now all of a sudden compatible. That's interesting because so as people who are familiar with my channel would know, I have had a little bit of a back and forth with Bad Empanada, who's an Australian Marxist who lives in Argentina, I think, South America more generally.
Yeah, he murdered Ethan Klein's children, I believe.
Yeah, I think he did. And then sent him their skulls in the mail. And
which is, I think that's kind of nice. You got to, like, if you murder someone's children, you've at least got to return the skull.
yeah. Keeping the skulls is just beyond the pale. So it has been. So he like quite recently posted a thing, and he's kind of said a few things like this, where he's like, there are racist. He always like couches it in like or not racist, but white people who have trans identities as a way to make there be something interesting about them, essentially. Yes. And the
spicy straights as well. I mean, obviously that's not really to do with the white, but the spicy whites.
Yeah. So
Chipotle mayo.
Yeah, he I kind of commented something to the effect of like, oh, like this is what I've been saying. And he instantly blocked my account. And then I saw days later actually like deleted the post entirely. But then more recently has written a post to the effect of, I'll just read some of it. The popularization of substanceless liberal identity grievance politics laid the framework for the spread like wildfire of the Zionist victim narrative. It's only really in the last few decades that this style of Israel defense became this pervasive. Before, Israeli propaganda was focused on strength and power rather than victimhood. It's not a coincidence that this coincided with mainstream liberals adopting a focus on a rhetorical deference to identity-based arguments combined with limited sanitized cultural acceptance of oppressed groups to distract people from seeking actual material justice. It's not a coincidence that the same liberals who have most notably defended Israel in this way have also been some of the most important purveyors of liberal identity politics. Think Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Justin Trudeau, etc. But I'm not only talking about them because many who wouldn't consider themselves aligned with them, but who are further to the quote left, who are anti-Israel, have also done a lot of work to legitimize this. It's not hard to see how I'm of X group and what I say goes, how dare you disagree, led to the legitimization of I'm Jewish and what I say about Israel goes, you're anti-Semitic. Yeah, and there's a little bit more, but that's essentially the gist of it. So yeah, it seems like people are drawing the connection, even if reluctantly, and they don't want to, fully take it out to its logical conclusions and its full ramifications. But yeah.
Yes, I would say that's definitely. I mean, with someone like Bad Empanada, I felt like he's always been kind of just skirting around that, or like he always seems like he's. And there are a few people like this. I mean, Anna Kasparian is another example. Probably not quite as extreme as Bad Empanada, but always feels like just on the verge of becoming gender critical.
Anna's probably closer than Bad Empanada, because Bad Empanada, like when it does get brought up and kind of directly challenged, gets way more defensive and like, how could you? Because I think he realizes a greater portion of his audience is like, would immediately abandon him. Whereas like Anna would theoretically, I think her audience is less into that. And so if she were to fully turf out, she wouldn't necessarily, lose everyone.
No, I mean, I suppose that makes sense actually. And I imagine you are right. It's kind of interesting because there definitely are people who can see this connection between the kind of is it called standpoint politics? Is that like, I think that's a term I've heard before of basically,
or standpoint epistemology, I think.
Yes, okay. I think that's definitely what I've heard. Essentially, so you're right based on the fact that you come from a certain group, which I've pointed out before to people. If anything, it's kind of the opposite, like, because we literally have the term objective, which implies that you're like more likely to understand things. Obviously it's no guarantee, but if I wanted to, ask someone, like, it's kind of like if you, like, just to pick a silly analogy, but like if you had like a movie and someone's like, oh, this movie is really good, but then they worked on the movie, you'd be like, well, you wouldn't be like, oh, they must know the movie's really good because they worked on it. You're like, no, obviously. Like, basically anything that you're directly involved in, I don't know if I would trust your opinion more based on the fact you were directly involved in it. Anyway, you have this 50 reasons. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, well, I sort of like got up to about 30 and thought 50 is a nice round number.
So you just filled it up with junk.
Yeah. Well, I got Grok to fill it up with junk for me, and then started auditioning the reasons and cutting them out and trying to bring them up to a certain level. And I think like there's not a lot where I'm like that's just there for filler. And now that I've got these two ones I remembered, I think I can probably yeah.
I mean, I'm happy for you to just I guess
rattle them off.
yeah, exactly, without any rhyme or reason.
Yeah, sure. Well, hang on.
Yeah. By the way, hi Joan Dark.
Yeah. Before I forget, you got to ask Total Woman Victory to hop on. Oh, like in another stream.
I would assume so, because let's be honest, we're just the two of us. We're barely gonna like have any efficiency anyway. Never mind adding a third
yeah. Who I just heard about. Yeah, definitely.
Also, you don't know about Total. You don't know about this person.
No.
Okay, so I also sorry. The way I said that was as if I do know about them.
Right.
Was for the record, I also don't know about this person. But I assumed that you would because
someone was bringing them up in the thing.
Oh my goodness me! Yeah, I feel like we're about to embarrass ourselves. Hold on a minute. Now this is interesting because this person, when you type in like Total Wom, it also fills, but then this person doesn't actually have a YouTube channel. So clearly something is amiss.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess if I'll get the first 10 out of the way.
Yes.
Because I think they're sort of like interrelated. Have
I frozen? Oh no, I haven't frozen. Sorry, I thought I'd frozen, but I sometimes I do this. I paused because I've got the stream up, just so you know, I can be aware that it's happening. And I had it paused, and then instead of clicking onto where we're recording, I clicked onto where the stream was, and I was just like, oh, why am I frozen? Anyway, proceed.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess the first thing, and like one of the first ways that I thought noticed the similarities was just that as opposed to any other form of colonization, they both do these kind of victim identity politics, and they take like a previously oppressed group and claim to represent them. So with trans, it's like homosexuals, and with Zionism, it's Jews. And then both ideologies then take these groups and then put them in harm's way. So Zionism puts Jews on the front line of like a brutal colonial project, and then transgenderism starts unleashing all sorts of medical experiments on the group that they're ostensibly trying to help.
Yes.
You then have both ideologies have like a core industry that they're attached to. So Zionism, it's weapons; trans, it's the medical industrial complex.
Yes. Of course, for the record, you could have said instead of weapons, military-industrial complex.
Sure.
That fits with your M industrial
Exactly. Oh, yeah, they both start with the same letter. Yeah, that's true.
Like that is the real. You've heard of guilt by association. This is guilt by alliteration.
Yeah. So then they both have a group that they're colonizing, which are also an oppressed group that like objectively is
and materially
are victims of much greater violence than the group that they're claiming to represent. So they're sort of like all clustered together. Then the fifth similarity was a false community that includes co-opted members of the colonized, and this community is then used to argue that the project is not colonial. So in the example of transgenderism, that's trans men. So it's like, this isn't a men's rights, men's privileges movement because we've got trans men, and that sort of, means that we're fair and inclusive. And likewise, we've got so many, Israeli Arabs in Israel, and that's sort of used to be like, yeah, we're this just big kind of community and everybody gets along. But what gets ignored is that the co-opted members of the oppressed that are like drawn into this community are never able to receive the same privileges as the demographic that like the colonial project is intended to benefit.
Yes, so, that makes sense.
So, trans men are never at an advantage over actual men, and Israeli Arabs are always never equal to Jewish Israelis. Whether they're Palestinians or whether they're citizens of Israel, they're still like always a subclass. So, I think that's an important and like distinct sort of similarity.
And I think that's actually like kind of one of the more sophisticated ones that's definitely true. And I feel like I mean you can also kind of apply it to the whole thing about like, we're super pro gay. Like they kind of act like they're very progressive. They say things like, we have religious freedom, and it's like they essentially tout themselves as the big liberal democracy of the Middle East, but they have lots of areas where they completely go against liberal democracy, whether it's like, as far as like religious tolerance goes, they'll like spit on Christians, and obviously they'll do plenty of bad things to Muslims. As far as like gay people are concerned, they like, they're pro-gay compared to most of the Middle East, but they still like, they don't have gay marriage and stuff, which would be considered a pretty basics. Like there are like gay rights activists in the UK who'll be like, Israel's great because they're so pro-gay, but then if like somebody in the UK suggested getting rid of gay marriage in the UK, they act like they're a full-on like fascist.
It's all relative. It's interesting. There was that Netanyahu, when he was going on all these podcasts recently on his like PR tour, there was an American that I guess he'd taken to Israel, and they were talking about their visit there, and the quote was, "We only got spat on once," sort of like how welcoming Israel was. So
that's progress.
Yeah. Anyway. So the next thing is the sort of justification or logic that nothing was taken, it was just made more inclusive. So in the case of transgenderism, that's biological sex doesn't exist. And then in the case of Zionism, it's like, there's no such place as Palestine. What are you even talking about? Then 6 is the renaming as erasure. So changing the Arabic names to Hebrew, I guess, names in Israel, or changing mother to birthing parent, and those kind of things to erase females. 9 was the using transphobic and anti-Semitic to dismiss opposition, and 10 was using people outside the tiny minority to expand the base of support. So for transgenderism, that's the spicy straights and all those people. Which then, because if you truly are only that really tiny minority, it's much easier to dismiss you. So you need to like somehow mobilize a larger group. And for Zionists, that's Christian Zionists, who are like the bulk of Zionists on the planet. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's kind of the interesting thing of like, but in both cases, the actual number of people involved, like the number of people who are kind of, I guess, the subject of the movement. I've been reading some Judith Butler, so subject of the movement is very much she loves like using that word like subject. Anyway, but yeah, so the subject of the movement like is always way smaller than the number of people fervently advocating for it. Like the number of people, I mean, even like Jewish Zionists, a lot of them in America and whatever aren't actually moving to Israel. So basically, yeah, like essentially the number of people even doing the Zionism is way, way smaller than the number of people like advocating for it, just as the number of people doing the transitioning is way, way smaller than the number of people advocating for it. And that is obviously, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because obviously sometimes it can be good for a lot of people who advocate for a minority, but you could compare that to like other civil rights things where oftentimes, like you take like the obvious one, like women's suffrage. That was about, can 50% of the population vote? But it wasn't 50% of the population who was actively advocating for women's suffrage. It was, you know, a smaller proportion than that. So that's kind of like the inverse. So it's kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right. So then the second page is, I think, the weakest.
Very good.
Yeah, but... And with that thing, yeah, what you were saying about, larger group advocating and a smaller group doing it, I think that's kind of necessary in both cases, because, then they don't have an actual understanding of what it entails. So, there's like people advocating for transition don't actually know the brutality of the surgeries they're recommending. They don't know that, like, or conversely, they don't know that lots of people or lots of men claim a trans identity while doing relatively little to like achieve that. And then, if people haven't seen the like brutality of Israel firsthand, then it's easier to, be swept up by the fact that they have a pride parade, or something like that. So we are the thing we pretend to hate, part 1. Many parents at the Tavistock said they preferred a straight appearing trans child to a gay one. Iran, does a similar thing. So they're like, we're the anti-homophobes, but we're actually some of the most brutal homophobes on the planet.
Yes.
And Zionists have carried out all sorts of anti-Jewish attacks in order to make Zionism seem relevant. So, we're the defenders of Jews, but if we need to brutally attack some Jews in order to make them need our protection, feel like they need our protection racket, then we're more than willing to do that. Or even just like the way that, say, the more Orthodox communities in Israel will be like brutally suppressed by the IDF for, various oppositions to Zionism.
I was going to say, I've seen like, people in Israel getting arrested by the police for protesting against it. I must admit, I do find it kind of funny that like the people who are Zionists by definition, because they are living in Israel, but they're like protesting against it, is kind of like, it's a bit like you'd think, really, that they should leave.
It's actually probably pretty similar to being like a white Australian in solidarity with Aboriginal people. Having
said that, the one thing I will say, look, I don't want to excuse the Australians too much, but I will say at least Australia is ginormous, and there weren't that many. Like the Aborigines, did they even get smallpox, or was it just like, because with like the Americas, it's kind of like there were a whole load of them, and then a load of them died. Whereas it seems like with the Aborigines, they were mostly like, this is a desert. I don't think we're going to be able to. I do know. I know that in like Tasmania, they were fully wiped out. So I think the Tasmanians should, like the people living in Tasmania, those whiteys should really issue a formal apology.
Well, yeah, no, it was there were like huge kind of frontier wars, and that's so there was like a sort of more direct kind of extermination. Ironically, Tasmania, because to be indigenous, like the group has to kind of maintain a connection to that land, and so that's partially why like most Aboriginal nations have like continued claim to the land that they're that was theirs.
You should do a land acknowledgement for the for all of your live streams.
Yeah. Well, that actually comes from Australia. Like, yeah, because there's an Aboriginal thing called a welcome to country. And it's like a sort of ceremony, and so that it started off with like welcome to countries, and then there were like acknowledgement of countries. And I remember maybe in like 2006 having like Canadians come over, and they
were like,
essentially they were like, this is great. And then it wasn't long before I started hearing about like land acknowledgements.
Because I think of it as a Canadian thing, like in my head. No, it
was originally Australian. But the thing with indigeneity is, well, I forget specific. The idea is that, you need an unbroken connection to the land. So Tasmania, because all the Aboriginal people there were so thoroughly murdered, that's like the only place we might have like a legitimate claim to, because literally the people who used to own it are all dead now. So like deporting the entire white population to Tasmania, like in another kind of like, send all the bad people like to an island further south. Might actually.
Honestly, the crazy thing is Australia is so big, and Tasmania is like presumably the more temperate area. You could fit every white Australian. I'm calling it now. You could fit every white Australian in Tasmania. Wait, let me go on that thing that shows you the size of different countries.
It's actually really cold. It's like pretty frosty in Tasmania.
Okay.
But you could definitely do that. But I've always said like there's only 20 million of us, like 22 or 23 now. We could totally be reabsorbed into Europe as culturally similar, like blah blahs in back to Germany, France, and all those places.
We could make everyone happy. Honestly, like it's you do realize like essentially the win-win is that. We get rid of all of the, the brown people from Europe, even the UK, and then we replace them with Australians. And it's kind of like then everyone wins. The Aborigines are happy. The white nationalists are happy. And like, we could, like, if we sent them all to Saudi Arabia to be slaves, then Saudi Arabia would be happy. I don't know where. I don't actually know what type of what the distribution of our immigrants are, but I'm pretty sure that they're mostly South Asians. So that's the kind of people that the Saudi Arabians just
we are the Israel of Asia, so that would work out.
Anyway, we should get back on the reasons. By the way, I'm going to get some water, but I'm going to, because I'm so committed, I'm going to listen with my
headphones while getting
my
water.
Wireless headphones. So I will be listening.
Excellent.
Hassan style. Even though I'll be out of the room, I will be very much still part of the content.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll just go over to the comments real quick. Okay, so hello, Michael. Oops, the message I wrote disappeared. Total Woman Victory are a newsletter with a website and a Substack. There's loads of writers, but a core team of about 7. They did a fantastic article debunking various Zionist talking points from a radical feminist perspective. Sorry, I'm behind and listening on double speed to catch up from the start. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I will definitely get in contact with them. So the next similarities were We Are the Thing We Hate Part 2. This is kind of similar. Transgenderism is the homophobes' way to love gay people. Essentially by commodifying the physical destruction of their bodies. And Zionism is also the Jew haters' way to love Jews, because it removes Jewish people from most societies on Earth. And that's why it was even compatible with the early Nazi policies, because it removed Jews from Germany. And I remember reading something.
Madagascar.
Yeah, I remember reading something to the effect of they saw, or certain Nazis saw Israel as a self-governing ghetto. So then,
I actually have something. See, that's really interesting, because I actually realized part of my anti-Zionism, I realized it actually works out really well, because the UK, we got that National Health Service, which we're struggling with. But I realized actually, by supporting anti-Zionism, we could just say, hey, Jews, move to the UK. And my understanding is 50% of them are doctors. Basically everyone in Israel is a doctor. So it actually works out. We'll steal all the... So essentially, as an anti-Zionist, I am a pro-Semite, because I'm if we get all the Jews here, then we can finally fix our crumbling NHS and become the envy of the world once more.
Yeah. See all the benefits of returning white people back to Europe. It's
Yeah. And
cool.
and also send the other thing people point out, by the way, is the fact that for some reason, the minute that Jews move to Israel, they immediately stop being funny. Because Jews in most of the rest of the world are very associated with comedy and stuff, and yet when you look at the comedy that comes out of Israel, it's just the most unimpressive stuff ever. So again, essentially, we want the Jews to be the best they can be, and the anti-Semites, they want the Jews to be terrible, so they want them to move. I mean, it also gets to the point that a lot of people say, New York is the safe Jewish homeland. I know Adam Friedman's made this point. Whereas in Israel, and really I think it essentially is just the final solution with extra steps, because eventually you just think logically, because Israel's completely it's 8 million people surrounded by a population that hates them. Eventually they're going to stop getting assistance from the West. So I feel actually even the Nazis who are oh, let's send the Jews to Palestine, they're not thinking they're still going to end up getting the thing they ultimately want at some point, because it just seems inevitable that Israel is going to collapse. So we want to make them safe.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, on that, Israelis aren't funny. They also can't dance. I don't know what it is. I can't dance at all. But even the 20-year-old women soldiers doing their TikTok videos, there's never a coordinated dance. It's always this weird a toddler sort of bobbling around. I don't know what it is that destroys their coordination. But next time you see them doing some kind of video like that, have a look at their coordination. So anyway, this is the next point was posturing as the antithesis to Nazis while having surprising overlaps. So
yes,
transgenderism, it's the Nazi, how widespread cross-dressing was in the Third Reich. And there's a book by, Martin Damon, soldier studies, cross-dressing in the Wehrmacht, is a whole like coffee table book of cross-dressing Nazi photos. And then the
sorry, I was like coffee table, but that's just like sign out. That's a great way.
yeah,
that's what it
just
is.
a live chat.
It's like I just imagine like you go to someone's like living room. You're like, oh, I see you've got family photo albums and cross-dressing Nazis.
Yeah. So then, the Havara Agreement, which was the initial cooperation between Germany and the like proto-Israel. Ironically, lots of early Israel was constructed out of German industrial products because of this agreement. Essentially, it was a way for like really rich German Jews to get more of their assets out of the country, because most countries had restrictions on just picking up all your stuff and leaving with it. You would get a huge section of it taxed. And so the German government was like, we'll waive that if you go to Israel, and then we'll like use a portion of your wealth to buy German goods, because everybody else, all the other Jews across the world, had started boycotting Nazi Germany. And so this was a way to like break the boycott, essentially. So a lot of people try to portray it as like it was the only way out for them, and that kind of thing, to kind of downplay the collaboration with the Nazis. But it wasn't true. It wasn't like, this wasn't an attempt to save people. This was an attempt to save money. So there's that one. Tell followers this is the only way for them to be safely, or for them to safely be their real selves.
Yeah, and making them like paranoid about the fact they're gonna die. You're gonna die if you don't get the the special space for yourself, or like you don't get everyone to accept your right to exist.
Yep. Exploiting crisis for legitimacy. Suicides, etc. for trans, and then like October 7th and those types of things for Israel. A broader, like in both cases, it's not just the primary group that's getting colonized. So in transgenderism, it's like lesbians, autistic people, and then sort of humanity in general. With Israel, it's like all the countries in Greater Israel, so basically most of the Middle East.
Yes.
And then both of them, both ideologies create a dummy version of the ideologies that they're expecting resistance from. So in the case of transgenderism, like intersectional feminism is an example of this, where they're like, the feminists are going to arc up about this, so we need our own version. And then similarly, the way that like lots of trans activists will be like, you'll see a trans flag next to a hammer and sickle, as though those are like compatible or ideas, when they're not. So you get this like postmodernism in Marx's face, I call it.
Yes.
And then likewise with Zionism, there's Zionism itself is like a false sort of like way to be Jewish that isn't actually Jewish. And then there's also the way that Israel and the US seem to be like propping up ISIS, and so it's like,
that's a good one. They create
we're expecting opposition from Muslims, so we'll create this ridiculous version of Islam that will help us to easily defeat it. yeah, then then I think they're more better now. So this is 20 to 30. Both use state violence to enforce physical realities. So trans uses the police and other legislation to enforce their rules regarding women's spaces, and obviously Israel has the IDF to enforce what they want on Palestinian land. Both ideologies encourage individuals to carry out vigilante violence. So you've got like West Bank settlers and punch a turf and that kind of thing is like the trans equivalent of your West Bank settler. Yeah. Both ideologies like facilitate jailhouse conversions to reduce / avoid punishment for child sexual abuse. So there's
oh yeah, okay, sorry, I was gonna say, so yeah, how's that with Jews? Because I was gonna say, I mean, obviously I know that makes sense with trans. I'm not familiar. Is that just like people joining like Jewish gangs or whatever?
No. Israel has a long history of harboring people wanted for child sexual abuse in other countries.
Yeah, am I really maybe I am. Maybe I'm just naming like the only really famous pedophile, but was Roman Polanski in Israel, or am I making it up?
No, I thought he was in France.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because France is also, yeah, I watched that movie Leon the Professional yesterday.
Right, and
I watched it again. That's a very pedo movie. So give me some examples of famous pedophiles who've moved to Israel.
I don't know any
I will ask ChatGPT.
Famous ones, but yeah, but there's definitely like CBS stories and like mainstream American news stories on how it's a problem that people sort of suspected or wanted for child sexual abuse in America can simply like flee to Israel, and Israel won't extradite them, even though you would imagine usually countries don't have an extradition treaty because they're like really opposed to each other, don't have a close working relationship with each other, that kind of thing. Whereas like Israel pretty much only exists because of the US, and yet they're like, no, we don't care. We're going to protect this guy because he's one of ours.
I found some. I'll just tell you the first one. Avraham Mondrowitz, a Brooklyn-based ultra-Orthodox counselor and rabbi accused in the 80s of sexually abusing dozens of boys. He fled to Israel in 1984 before he could be indicted. The US sought his extradition, but for decades Israel refused, citing that sodomy laws at the time did not apply equally to boys. He still lives in Jerusalem. Okay, so I guess he made a good choice by being a gay pedophile. I guess the implication is
yeah.
I mean, that's it. Oh, see, Israel. It's such a gay ally.
Accepting. Yeah.
Like, well, we accept this guy because he was a pedophile, but he was gay. He was a gay pedophile, and that means that he was woke. I mean, that's
if he'd gone to Gaza, they would have thrown him off a roof.
Exactly. How could they do that to him?
Yeah. So the next one is being obsessed. Both ideologies are obsessed with being raped while objectively committing much more rape than the group that they're colonizing.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, that was that woman who was like taken October 7th, who like came back, and I don't know, like this is one of those things where I'm like, was I just seeing one side of this? But I swear, like she was saying, like it was something like that. It was almost like she was upset that she hadn't been sexually assaulted. But I think, and maybe I think she would definitely like, it's kind of crazy. Like you have to give like she like basically admitted that they didn't do anything to her, which is fun. And But yeah, I feel like she was literally like, oh, the way they were looking at it made me think they were going to do it. And I swear, she said, this like seems crazy, but I swear I heard a quote. It was like, it was almost worse that they didn't do it. But I can't think what on earth could possibly. I feel like
I do think there was something.
It was very famous. Yeah,
it sounds familiar. Yeah, and then she was subsequently sexually assaulted by her Israeli like fitness instructor when, yeah. So that was that was crazy. The whole thing, like. There actually like is a kind of overlap with some of the defense of Let Women Speak and the whole like Nazis at the Melbourne rally. So with the Let Women Speak situation, they were saying like the trans activists were saying Let Women Speak is like a front group for Nazis, and that's why there were Nazis at the rally. But it's like, that makes no sense, because what's the purpose of having a front group if you're just going to have Nazis like attend anyway? Like, you're not thinking about it like from the perspective of the from like Kelly J. Keen's actual perspective. You're just thinking like, oh, she's a bad person, so of course she'd want Nazis there, even though it like counteracts what they're trying to do. And similarly, it's like with the mass rapes on October 7th, like even if
it lacks a theory of mind, like just even if like basically just think about it from their perspective. It's like even if they really wanted to, I think they would be smart enough to hold off and realize, oh wait, actually, this is not a good strategy.
Yeah. Like, why would you do it like there in the middle of the battlefield, like as opposed to like take people back if that's what you wanted to do? Like, it was just like whatever they could imagine was the most heinous thing, regardless of whether that was even practical. Seemed to be the thing. There was one claim that I had heard. It was essentially the only claim from somebody saying that they were assaulted by like the guards while they were in Gaza, which, you know, potentially like did happen. But like, I think that if you're going to accept that, like, one, that's not widespread. That's not on October 7th. That's not like a whole bunch of things that they said it was. But then, you also, if that's going to be your standard of like evidence, you have to accept all the other people who were like, no, nothing happened, or even like they were really nice to us, or they like physically used their bodies to protect us from harm when we were being bombed or shot at, or those types of things.
Which, by the way, is insane, because one of the things that I've always like said on the issue, sorry, this is kind of getting away from the topic of how similar to the trans thing, but like, I've always thought to myself, like, I would expect Hamas to be, you know, a little bit brutal, considering like the climate which are going on. I would expect them to absolutely hate Jews and just like not even view them as like human beings. I just view them as like evil devils. Because personally, if I had like a bunch of people, like if, I don't know, Australians decided that they needed to return back to the UK was their sacred homeland, and they started like putting us gross Angloids in prison camps,
open air detention.
I would really hate them, and I'd be like, let's just like shoot them for fun, because screw these dickheads. So like, it is insane that the Hamas specifically were like actually, it's like so like in keeping with kind of appropriate conduct during a war. Because that's the thing, like people, because like, and the flip side of that is you would expect Israel, considering that they have like every single advantage in terms of like politics and kind of like the systemic things, I guess, that they could actually, you know, basically still conduct a war that was evil, but just like not obviously evil, not like surface level sniping at children in the head. but like somehow Israel, despite the fact they have like every reason and well, I was gonna say every, of course, like obviously the fact that the media will cover for them means they can get away with it. But yeah, like the fact that they have like the surrounding circumstances, you'd think they'd be like, okay, let's do a nice civilized ethnic cleansing, and you'd think Palestinians would be like, let's get those Jews. Instead, it's like the opposite.
Yeah. Well, I think
I don't know why I made Hamas sound like an old geezer.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, no, it's crazy, and like the way that like if you've seen that footage of them, the like soldiers, IDF soldiers, like raping a detainee in I can't pronounce it, but there's like this notorious prison in Israel.
I heard about it.
Yeah, and they're like, they've sort of just like dragged this guy over to the edge of the room, and they're like holding their riot shields up to sort of like kind of shield it from the camera. It's like, that's fucking brazen. Like, you're on camera and you're only sort of blocking it. Like, yeah, that's intense. And so, yeah, after all the like, Hamas is so like rape, like, crazy, and there's no footage and no evidence and nothing, and then Israel's perfect.
They must have had some really big riot shields over at Hamas. Like, that's just
yeah.
It's like they're so good at hiding it.
Yeah. The what are we up to? Number 25 now.
Okay, so wait, you said maybe we should actually interrupt with some of my reasons, because one of yours
sure.
meant was it's relevant to one I wrote, which is this is a similarity. You ready for the similarity? There's this idea that eventually they will come to be viewed as right, or they will actually become right because of their successful colonization. Because something I always think about is the fact that, technically speaking, when you talk about like the gender critical thing, people say, well, language is defined by usage. So technically, like, my objection to saying that a man or a biological male is a woman is that's not how the term is used. And it just, like, it doesn't make, like, I would say it doesn't make sense to use the term that way. But obviously what I mean is it doesn't make sense within a wider context of the way we typically use the word woman. And like when we're talking about like women's history and stuff, it just doesn't make sense if you throw in biological males who identify as women. But technically speaking, if trans ideology was totally successful, then people would start using the word woman to include biological males. And it would get to a point where, like the word actually has changed so that you can't even say it's inaccurate. And people obviously make the analogy to like how elements used to be earth, wind, air, fire. Earth, wind, earth, water, air, fire. But now it means like atomical stuff. And like that was an organic development. But the point is that with the trans thing, that's not an organic development. But if it did change, like, if they actually succeeded, then 100 years from now, maybe people will be like, hey, woman, nice penis. And like that that would be like a perfectly, yeah, exactly. And like, obviously, as you can probably tell where I'm going, this is just in the exact same way. I mean, I don't want to excuse your evil, disgusting Australian existence too much, but there is a point where people say, well, because what's happened with Australia and like the Americas has been basically successful, it's kind of a done deal. At this point, you would say there is an authentic Australian identity, there is an authentic Canadian, American, whatever identity, and therefore they're probably kind of just going to stay there. And obviously that would be the argument with Israel, where essentially, like, well, if we make it so there aren't any Palestinians anymore, and it's just, essentially we're here for, then it will become like how, obviously the Arabs took over Palestine in the 600s, and after a few centuries, they became the rightful owners of that place. So there is that idea of kind of, I guess, appealing to the fact that historically these changes do happen and do come to be considered valid. But then obviously the conflict with the fact that they're appealing to that as like this change that's just happened in the past that there's nothing we can do about or whatever, to talk about something that they're actively trying to facilitate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like quite an interesting, I think, similarity to me.
Yeah, definitely. I will certainly steal that and use it to replace one of these lesser ones. Um, both ideologies use thirst traps and porn to spread their propaganda.
That is an interesting one, isn't it?
I had someone who was like, they must have been pro-trans, and they were like, blah blah blah. We were kind of going back and forth, and they were like, well, you just you probably like wank to trans porn anyway. And I was like, well, even if I did, how would that validate the argument? And if it like, and are you therefore saying if I wanked to like IDF thirst traps that like Zionism is now like a legitimate ideology? Or so there's that one.
No, and I think that's actually that's a good point. I mean, I've heard people say with like the the thirst trap thing, and also it's kind of something you get from. And I had this with a guy who recently made a response to me, like the most Vorshy person who's ever not been Vorsh. Basically, and that is kind of it's a very Vorshy dude bro argument, which is like, what do you think about it? Who would you want to fuck? Okay. What do you think about it? Blair White's pretty hot, and if you look at Blair White and you say that Blair White's not a woman, you're just being stupid because Blair White's hot, man. I just imagine like they're looking at like this like starving Palestinian woman like weeping over her dead child, and then some caked up IDF soldier like totally. Like, when you think about it though, who would you want to fuck? That's the moral compass.
Definitely. And
I would agree with that.
I was also like another addition to it was saying, sexual blackmail is also a kind of Mossad.
Yes. Well, they owned Ashley Madison, didn't they?
Oh, did they?
Ashley Madison was operating, which is like that has to be like the most mask off conspiracy known ever, where like the having an affair website was literally operating out of Israel. It's like, okay, so now we know why so many people support Israel. Like,
yeah. But then, likewise, to be like, well, you masturbated to, trans things, so now we're going to hold that over you and be like, you have to like agree with these policies. Is a similar deal. So 26 is both ideology, I guess, like practitioners of both ideologies are into stealing women's underwear.
These were the videos. I will say, to be fair, it would be a very bad day for the Zionists if they were more into this. So I will grant that this is one situation where I think the trans activists probably have them beat. But who knows? I mean, maybe because the thing is, like, that there were those photos that came out. I like to imagine that those photos. Well, I suppose I know the thing is stealing probably actually, because like trans activists like wearing women's underwear, but they don't have as many women whose houses they're occupying that they can steal the underwear off. So.
They should send them back home to like support the local trans population as they're like as the soldiers are raiding through the houses. They can send them back. Stealing. Yep. So that's basically that. Both ideologies promote fantasies of hurting children. So I've got the like famous IDF. There's the like routine execution of toddlers by IDF snipers. But like specifically this IDF T-shirt that has a pregnant Palestinian woman on the back
with like the crosshair
scope over it, and it's essentially like 1 shot, 2 kills or something to that effect. And then there's like the Eunuch Archives and WPATH's connection to the Unic archives for that one. By the way, did you hear that the director of Verped got arrested for pedophilia?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised though.
Yeah. Least surprising news ever, but yeah, there you go. Falsely attributes, both ideologies falsely attribute agency to children. So trans children know who they are. Zionism, there's no civilians in Gaza, everybody's guilty. You'll often hear them you'll show footage of like a 12-year-old boy getting shot or arrested, and they'll be like, yeah, they start them young, they breed them to be killers. So yeah, it's okay that we do this to them.
Yes. Yeah. There's like this idea of, well, I guess, I can't really think what the word is for it, but essentially that it's almost like you take the fact that the people you hate don't have agency and they're going to grow up to be evil, and then you use that to be like, yeah, that's why they didn't have to do anything bad yet, because it's going to happen inevitably.
Yeah. Yeah, and this idea that they're like, I guess it's probably connected somehow to the idea that like trans operates on the basis that every trans kid they don't get to is basically dead already anyway.
Yeah.
And there's probably like a similar thing with Palestinians where it's like, yeah, they're already dead, so it doesn't really matter like what we do here. Our only considerations is like killing them in the most convenient way to us. Yeah,
I could see that.
Both ideologies want young people to sacrifice their healthy bodies on an altar of progress. Yep. So partially about like, they're both, everyone in Israel gets conscripted really young. I've heard a lot of people talk about how the Israeli military is crazy for how, like, they'll have like a 4-star general. I don't really know like military terms, but a very high-ranking person who'll be like 26 years old, because the whole military is like super young, and people, from what I understand, kind of often do their conscripted thing and then want to get out and have like nothing to do with it, just like go home and be crazy and shoot themselves in private. So that
I can imagine there's like, there is that aspect of, it's kind of like, I mean, in a way, I feel like both movements are kind of intrinsically selfish, where it's kind of like people want to fight, but only insofar as they feel like they're forced to. And as soon as they have an opportunity to duck out of it, they're going to do it. Like, I feel like often when the trans ideologues or like the trans activists reach a point of, oh, you know what? Actually, I've kind of got mine. So, like, I'm a parceloid. So I'm just going to head off and enjoy my Patreon bucks or whatever. Like, I don't really need to doing the fight properly. And I kind of feel like maybe it's the same thing with Israel, where it's like there's no actual commitment to, like, there's no sense of, oh, I'm going to self-sacrifice, because I feel like the whole idea of Israel is it's literally almost the definition of entitlement. You show up to a country that was already built and you get to steal someone else's house. So the idea of being like, oh, I've got to fight in an army, like, to actually maintain this. Nah, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah,
I can see that makes sense.
Yeah, I wonder what this, like, how Australians would react if there was still like a kind of like a brutal conflict we had to be conscripted into to like maintain our position. Probably very similarly. I would definitely leave. So there you go. Like, Aboriginal resistance movements just start kidnapping us, and that's what you'll get some progress.
Or the emus.
Oh yeah. We've lost to them before.
Exactly.
We'll definitely lose again. So the last one for this page is ritual genital mutilation. So, obvious for trans, and then male circumcision for Judaism.
And I mean, in America, which is also where even the Christians are Zionists, they also, even the Christians circumcise. So
I wonder, like, how much of that is like, because I know it has nothing to do with religion. It was like a guy who sold breakfast cereals or something.
Kellogg, he thought it would stop masturbation,
which it kind of does. In that, like, you need lubricant to masturbate, which is why, like, all like American Pie and those kind of things, they always have the thing of lube.
Which is very confusing for us uncut freaks.
So there's that.
That's maybe why Israel is so angry.
Potentially. If we could somehow, like, redirect redirect all the medical resources going to trying to invent whole new genitals to just like reconstructing the foreskins on circumcised penises. Maybe that would de-escalate the whole thing.
That's the gender affirming care that will actually save lives.
On that note, I have to duck out and have a quick wank, but I will be back. I have to go to the toilet. I'll be back soon.
Oh, that's fine. I will entertain everyone. So he doesn't have a wireless headphone set like I do, because he is poor and Australian. So that means he can't hear me, and therefore there's not any point in saying anything interesting. By the way, this evening I'm actually going to live stream myself, because I recently worked out how to connect my PlayStation 3 to a monitor to my computer, which is pretty exciting. I thought there's something else I want to say. Oh yeah, you'll notice I have this behind me. It's because I want to put some books up, but erstwhile I definitely need to do this to reduce the echo. And I think the echo is significantly reduced. In fact, I would tentatively say there is no echo at all. But echo, I don't know, doesn't sound like an echo to me. Anyway, well, looks like he's back. That was a quickie. Yes. Hello, you are here. So let me tell you one of my reasons. I've got, yes. You know what? I'm going to present to you this is going to be one of my more complicated ones.
What? I can't hear you. Like, you just cut out. I got, hello, you are here. Yeah. Okay. And then it cut out.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I had a more complicated reason. For the record, I have four differences left. How many differences left? Oh, sorry, differences. How many similarities left do you have?
I have 20.
Okay, so this is good. So what we can do is I do 4, then
I'll do 5.
Yeah, sorry, I do 1, then you do 5. Then okay, that makes sense. His internet's gone. It seems to be caused by him moving, because it was fine this whole time, and then I think your internet changes whenever you move, because obviously when we first started the stream, your internet was a bit dodgy, but then it was fine for like the last hour anyway.
Yeah.
So just stay completely still. So okay, this one's going to sound weird, and you're going to think I'm kind of crazy for a second, but it's something I've noticed a lot in my experience talking to the Zionists, which is a tendency to focus on immediate harm instead of underlying principles. Now you're going to say, well, hold on a minute, Zionists, they don't really focus on immediate harm. But in a way they do, because I mean, obviously their whole shtick is like October 7th, right? I mean, that's what Bernie Sanders, the greatest left-winger in America, said about like Hamas, a terrorist organization, started this war on October 7th. But like the thing is, like what I'll often notice is that in a similar sense, both TRAs and Zionists will try to put the focus on the immediate harm of what's happening. So with, for example, TRAs, they will focus on like, oh, well, how many women are getting directly sexually assaulted in toilets? And then contrast that with how many transgender people are being assaulted in all sorts of different contexts. And with the Zionists, the thing is, they have a much less credible case, but then the thing is, they don't have a good case either way. But they'll kind of say, well, yeah, sure, there's this like violence and stuff going on, but one, that's just war. That's how war is, man. Like, just get over it. That's how it's going to be. And then the other aspect is they'll say, obviously, that Hamas brought it upon themselves. But of course, and the funny thing is, in both situations, that what they're missing there is the underlying question of, well, why should a man even be in the women's toilets in the first place? Like they're trying to make the conversation about, well, what's the harm caused when a man enters a woman's toilets, and how much like direct harm is caused? My question is, why would they even be there in the first place? And that's kind of the same thing that I feel when people try and like make the whole discussion about, let's really talk about the utilitarian calculation of exactly how many Palestinian children it's okay to kill in response to killing a certain number of like Hamas people. And the thing about that is, yeah, obviously somebody who is committed to anti-Zionism and knows even a little bit about it could probably win that argument. But it is, in a way, a kind of a way of making the argument longer, because you have to like then actually have a conversation about what are your sources of how many people have been killed, and how many people have Hamas killed, and can you prove that Hamas haven't like done X, Y, Z, and like what about the terrorism? And like essentially you can have way more places to go off on, just like how with the TRAs, there's way more different directions you can go if you make it about this utilitarian question of how much harm or not is being caused by trans ideology directly. Whereas, of course, if you focus on the question, why would a biological male be in a woman's place in the first place? Why should a biological male even have a right to identify as a woman? And of course, in the exact same sense, when you just focus the question on why should a bunch of Europeans who, at most, the vast majority of them moved to Palestine within living memory, why should they have a right to be doing any of this in the first place? That's kind of, it's like an interesting similarity I notice. And of course, there's similarity where, if anything, it's worse for the Israelis because they don't even have a strong argument that they're not causing active harm now. But yeah, I think what they do have with that is the ability to draw out the argument a lot more, because it becomes much more about specific statistics and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's a similarity.
Yeah, rather than focusing on like the validity of an ethno-state.
Yes.
Yeah, and you'll often hear Zionists kind of call Palestine or other Arab countries an ethno-state, even when they aren't, just because they're like, well, they have a racial majority or an ethnic majority, as though that's the equivalent of like having an official state religion where certain people are preferenced. Yeah, anyway.
Yes, anyway, you're 5.
Yeah, okay, so these are kind of getting lighter now. So
hold on, let me just clarify. Did you get your best ones out the way early? So now we're just stuck with the scraping
the dregs. No. I don't think so. So this is kind of 2 in 1. It's the thing is, everything would be fine if people couldn't discuss how much they oppose what we are doing, is like a thing both ideologies say, but like specifically in reference to say Twitter or X for trans and TikTok for Palestine, just that both ideologies have social media platforms where they're like, if we could just like get rid of them, everything would be fine. The response to hearing opposing views on campus from both ideologies is, I feel unsafe, and this is like a direct threat on my life to hear people.
I feel unsafe is very common. Like, like Jewish people, like, I feel so unsafe in America.
Mhm.
Like, wow.
Which comes back to like what Bad Empanada was saying about the similarities, that they are able to participate in competitions they shouldn't be allowed in. So
Eurovision, that's what finally we get to the thing that really matters.
yeah. Then you critique the ideology, you're a bigot. That's kind of similar to the anti-Semitism one, but slightly different. Accuse critics of being obsessed. So no Jews, no news from Zionists. And there's a meme of the planet of like Earth exploding, and with a caption, somehow trans people have something to do with this. That's like a common TRA thing. The dressing up as the that's 5.
Yes, that's 5.
Yeah.
Yes. So here's another one. This one, it also feels very obvious, but I don't think we technically said it yet, which is they're both justified by the idea that if you experience oppression, you can enter other people's spaces. Here's something that I hear from Zionists, which is, the Jews were kicked. So after like Israel was founded in 1948, a lot of Jews were kicked out of Muslim countries. Like Iran had a lot of Jews that were kicked out. Yemen, I think. Basically, loads of Jews were kicked out, and they went to Palestine. And obviously, like, part of that is a failure to appreciate that different groups are different. Like, just because some Arabs kicked you out of one country doesn't then mean you're allowed, like, doesn't mean it's an, like, and people say this, that it's like an obvious justification for the existence of Israel, which of course is insane because, I mean, especially like if any of these people are like against the idea of, people seeking asylum in Europe, this idea that you could just be like, well, because we got kicked out of this country, we are automatically allowed to go literally anywhere and just say, yeah, this is our country now. And I mean, obviously, with TRAs, the point is obvious. So they'll say like, men are a threat to us in men's toilets. So like, obviously a trans-identified male, if they're a real kind of cross-dresser, they might genuinely be threatened by having to go into a male's toilet, but that doesn't mean they're automatically allowed to go into a woman's toilet. So it's kind of this idea of, just immediately, well, obviously we're unsafe there, so naturally, just there's no question asked about the fact we're clearly allowed to go into other person's space. Just duh.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like
if a bank forecloses on someone's home, they can't just move into another person's house.
Both groups dress up and have a lot of fun, like dressing up as the group they're colonizing. So obviously, like trans women, that's what it is. It's like woman face. But then there's all the like TikToks of Israelis dressing up as Palestinians, and they both have this kind of like pseudo blackface vibe to them. This one, harvesting human body parts. Israel admitted to this in 2009 and said they stopped doing this in the 1990s, because one of the things is that, like, I think organ donation is in some ways like not kosher, and so there's this really weird thing about how they have like the largest skin bank in the world. So if you get a burn or something, they have like skin on hand to replace it.
I have heard about. Yeah. I mean, I guess they just realized that they couldn't do blood because that would be. That would be too many negative associations.
Well, I also would think
that anything with skin yet.
Most Arab skin wouldn't match the pasty European complexion, but who knows?
Yeah. I mean, there is the fact that this means they have no excuse for not fixing their foreskin problem. Like, if they have all that skin.
Yeah. And then, like, just the, like, all the, I mean, this is harvesting them from the person that they then use them on, but the phalloplasty like
Yeah.
arms, like, yeah, made me think of that. They both ideologies have no ability to empathize with others. So there's this idea of like, why can't Palestinians just move? Like, it's just a small thing. Just yeah, and yeah, why can't women, sort of do the same thing? Like, why wouldn't a woman want a man in their space? And yeah, specifically with the Palestinians, it's this like, there's so many other Arab countries, which is almost like the equivalent of being like, oh, what's the big deal? You have 7 kids and I killed 2 of them. Yeah, you've got 5 other kids. Like, what are you carrying on about? There's nothing particular or special about, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of that like thing also of like seeing people as groups. Like like the fact that I am English, is I am English. But at the same time, if you said, hey, like if we kick you out of your house, you can still live in England. It's this very kind of like, I guess, totalizing view of things where it's just like, as long as the English person still lives in England, how can they possibly have an objection? And so it's like, as long as, look, the Arabs can still live in Arab land. So what if their entire house is taken from them? They still have an Arab place to live.
Yeah, totally. The next one,
which I mean, I suppose actually kind of the similarity of that as well is when they'll say like, oh, well, you are still a woman in some sense. Like one of the things they'll often say, like I've actually heard trans activists say, we're not saying biological females aren't women. We're just saying that we're women too. Like, to be fair, it would be very audacious of you to claim that biological females aren't women. So we weren't even considering that.
Yeah. Then taking historical or geographically specific crimes and then pretending they're universal to invoke sympathy. So, most of the trans deaths are like third world sex workers.
Yes.
That has no relevance to, most first world trans people. And then likewise, Jews living in America in 2025 are, not Jews living in Germany in 1993. It's a complete 1933.
Yes. Yeah, well, I was also thinking about like, and this is just like the next level of it, but like the people who will literally be like, well, the Arab conquests of the 7th century, they were pretty brutal. So it's like, I like people will literally say, I mean, it's kind of even like you could just relate it to the fact that they'll say like, oh well, Israel existed in 1000 BC, which is true, but then like it's kind of this idea of you are 2000 years removed from when Israel was even in any sense a thing, and so it's kind of, again that kind of like grouping of people together to be like, yeah, we're the same. Like, and I think in their head they're basically like, like from their perspective, the like when the Romans like destroyed the temple and like basically kicked them all out of Jerusalem, they feel like that might as well have been the Palestinian kid like in Gaza City. They're like, how could you do that to us? It's very similar. So the idea that Magdalene Burns or whatever was basically a Brazilian sex work trafficker or whatever. Basically the same thing.
Yeah. JK and or like JK Rowling, her comments are like make her the person who killed a trans teenager. So then the last one is adopting new identities via name changes. So going from Brad to Brenda for trans, and going from Milikowski to Netanyahu for Zionists.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do like their names.
And like like cosplaying as the groups they're trying to be, essentially.
Yeah, it's funny because like so many like Jewish names are just like completely. You're just like that's like a very Jewish names that I've like. I mean, this is like the thing that I always find like crazy about the Bible. Like there was like I was reading a verse recently, and I took a picture of it. Wait, I actually feel like I took because I found it so funny because obviously it's well known that my name is Michael, and literally it was Michael surrounded by a whole load of the goofiest names you could possibly imagine. But like that's how, like it's kind of that's how it is with surnames. So it'll be like a Jewish name will be like Spencer or whatever, or it will be like anyway. So here's the verse, okay? And he had brethrens, the son of Jehoshaphat, Azariah and Jehiel and Zechariah and Azariah and Michael and Shephatiah, and so like Habadiah, and it's just like Michael.
Yeah,
like that's like the crazy about like you just have like in when like John the Baptist is born, there's like his name shall be John. It's like like what? John, not like Jonish Shabakador. So yeah, they do like their weird names.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it is because otherwise it could be too obvious they're white people. Yeah, you don't actually have that many like I don't know. Maybe I'm being crazy, but I feel like you don't have many. I mean, they have Benjamin, but I was gonna say I feel like there aren't that many Jewish people called like just Michael or John, which I guess like that's like Johann, in which is whatever. Anyway, but I feel like you don't like in Israel, like they all have like names like Eyal and Shlomo and like very like foreign sounding names to make it less obvious that they're that they're just a bunch of white people.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
So I'm gonna chuck in a couple of ones to pad out. This is definitely the weaker set. The last 10 are the weaker set.
Oh, good.
So
go quantity, not quality.
Yeah. Both groups say that the groups we're colonizing are illiberal and therefore valid targets of violence. So it'll be like, TERFs are racists, conservatives, blah, blah, blah. So that's fine. And Muslims don't do gay pride. So that's okay. The other one is both groups say we're too small to be a threat. So yeah, why are you focusing on Jews when we're like such a tiny group? How could we possibly have a big impact? And then trans will do the same. We're such a tiny percentage of the population. How could we possibly significantly disrupt other people's rights?
That is a good one. Like, because you see that all the time. It's like when you get like the maps of the Arab world, and then they'll like have the tiny little Israel, and like this is the problem. It's like they ignore the fact that within that tiny Israel is like millions of people being starved and stuff like that. It's like, well, it's a tiny proportion of the area though.
Yeah, absolutely. And the amount of wealth that's like funneled into that area that is then like the power is then projected outwards. So both ideologies have powerful lobbying groups. APAC and WPATH and all that.
Yes. And also in both cases, you're anti-Semitic if you point out, of course.
Yeah.
The one thing, well, not the one thing. Let's be real here. But no, the thing about October 7th,
the 52nd thing,
is when, like, I kind of do like the fact, although I'm occasionally shocked when this isn't the case, that like for the most part, leftists have kind of stopped the whole gender criticals or anti-Semitic thing. Like every now and then I will see like them still kind of bring that up, but I always think to myself like it's kind of ridiculous for them to do that now because obviously they're so because I'm talking like most of the left-wing people are like anti-Zionist. So it's like when they're literally like if they talk about like AIPAC or something, then they can't really then turn around and be like, well, one time Helen Joyce said that a lot of the people, even though she didn't actually say this, I don't think she even pointed out they were Jewish, but she pointed out a load of people who are behind trans ideology in the UK and the US, and they were Jewish. That makes her anti-Semitic. It's like, well, I don't know if you can really make that accusation while simultaneously being aware that there are literal Zionist lobby groups in the West.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
yeah,
I'm glad for the most part they've stopped that kind of line of thinking. Like nowadays, I'm much more likely to be called an anti-Semite for being anti-Zionist than anti-trans, which makes sense.
Yeah. It wasn't. I feel like previously, being involved in like pro-Palestine stuff, the anti-Semitism thing wasn't so common, but I guess it wasn't really as big either.
Maybe they learned from the TRAs.
Yeah, maybe they did.
Yeah, imagine. I tell you what, they must have been kicking themselves, and they were like, "Wait a minute! Like, I can't believe we didn't jump on the anti. Like, how did the TRAs get the anti-Semitism thing before us?"
Yeah. So compelled beliefs. Like the pronoun mandates, etc., for trans, and then lost. It's come back. The exploitative. So in both ideologies, the exploitative elements of the project were much more obvious during the early stages. So if you look at like John Money or Magnus Hurt.
Since he's frozen, unless he's only frozen for me, I assume he's frozen for everyone else. Okay. Yeah. So essentially, I was just going to point out you were frozen for a little bit, and I was like, that's very what you were just saying about like how because we did hear this. What the whole like it was more the evil parts are more obvious early on. That's like very similar to kind of what I was saying about how it's kind of based in this idea of well, eventually, once it's all over, then we'll be right. Oh, he's dead. I mean, his internet is not working. I wonder why your internet's gone down the toilet. Like it was doing fine.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Mossad.
I would guess so.
They won't click off the mark. All right, see if try and do another one.
Sure. Deemed, damn it, to have never been members.
Shall I try? If so, I presumably can you? I guess you can't hear me when your internet goes. Like I also freeze. I was going to say because it might be an opportunity for me to do mine since if your internet's
sure, yeah, go for it. Yep.
So I still have 2 more left, and maybe I'll do one, and then perhaps your internet seems good, you can do it, and then we can end it with mine, which would be really great because that would make me feel important. So this is where I do get a bit woke because I just want to say, just like trans activists are ultimately sexist, Zionists are necessarily racist. So basically, this is it's kind of related to the thing you said about like associating people with, or like failing to understand people as specific individuals. But like the moment where like, I mean, the whole like TRAs are necessarily or essentially sexist obviously comes to the fact their whole argument is that there is a way of like performing womanhood that makes you a woman, and there's no way to really square that without basically saying that womanhood is about like stereotypes and stuff like that. And yeah, for me, like the big thing with like Zionists and rising, like there's actually just no way to be this thing unless you are in essence racist. Was when I was like talking to someone about, someone like tweeted about when in Lebanon, like the Israel just did a strike on this building where like a Hezbollah guy was, and they like blew it up, and they're like, yeah, this is good. And I was like, hey, like, quick question, but like, how would you feel if France said, because there's like an anti-French terrorist living in like on your English street, that they should be allowed to launch an explosive at your street where you live? And in so many words, they basically ended up saying like, well, that's just completely different. It doesn't count, like, whatever. And like, I think ultimately there's no real way, like when you look at the stuff that is happening to and obviously there's like Lebanese, but it's kind of all part of the same thing. The people around Israel and what they're experiencing, there's no way you can be like, oh, that's basically fine, unless you are just fundamentally incapable of putting yourself in the shoes of actually experiencing that. Which I would say is, we don't like throwing around words like racist like a bunch of wokies, but I just can't think of like any other explanation. Just like you're basically like, oh, well, they're Arabs. It doesn't really count like it happened to me. So basically, I would say it kind of.
If you killed like 150,000, if you killed 150,000 in one turn, then maybe that would be comparable to like blowing up my street or house. But it's like the 3/5 a human being, but like 0.00005% human.
Yeah, exactly. So I think and obviously it kind of just is the funny in light the fact that they always try and pretend that everyone else is like anti-Semitic or transphobic, but it's like their ideology is one that can really only be sustained by you could call it just a lack of empathy or sympathy, but if you wanted to, you could call it racism if you really wanted to.
Definitely. So then the like detransitioners were never really trans / anti-Zionist Jews are like self-hating or not really Jews somehow like fundamentally
capos. I recently learned about that, and now it's my new favorite word.
I always think like mafia, like I think they call their captains or something capos or something, which I guess might be the same origins.
I mean, there is a Jewish mafia, so it works.
Of course there is.
Exactly.
Trans, actually, that's what Whitney Webb was saying, like the origins of like the like nefarious group that Epstein was part of was when the American mafias used to all be divided along racial lines. And at some point, the Jewish and Italian mafias got together and started like collaborating in a way that no like racially divided mafias had done before. And that was like the beginning of like this, internationalized global mafia that was then, became the basis for a lot of nefarious activities.
Wow, that's a really beautiful story. They came together. They did it.
We demand the right to hear yes, regardless of the consequences to others. So trans identities are valid. Israel has a right to exist as like essentially the same thing. Excusing male violence in both cases. Who wrote this? I think there was someone who originally
where you end and AI begins.
No, this isn't AI. This is back when it was like an actual hashtag. There was another person who I was like who was also chucking in like ideas, and she just wrote this, and I thought this was good. Trans say they're more women than women, and Zionists say they're more Semitic than Semites. But she just wrote, a New York born and bred Jew having Holy Land feels can displace an Arab born in Jerusalem because of self-proclaimed specialness, just like a man can be a woman, is even more a woman than these cis women running around claiming rights to women's spaces. And then the final one is the larger capitalist project that the colonization is in service of. So Zionism is like US global hegemony, and transgenderism is transhumanism, and all the ways that like a commodified human body will potentially like, help lead us to living in pods.
Yeah, eat the bugs. That's what I think. If only the people in Gaza had some bugs. I felt like they wouldn't mind that, bugs. I think apparently they're nutritious. That's all I'll say. Yes. And now it's time for my final reason.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. So this is actually inspired by something said by one Graham Linehan of Being Arrested fame. Basically, they are both the premier. Well, I'll tell you what Graham Linehan said. So basically, he was like, and believe it or not, this is not something he said about Zionism. So basically, like, but it's just you'll see. So basically, he was saying that it's one of those things where like there's things in life that happened in the past, like social justice movements, and you always think to yourself, would I have been part of those social justice movements in the past? Or would I have just been like a coward? And like everyone thinks in hindsight, I would have done the right thing, like during racism or the Holocaust or whatever. I would have been the person who stood up to it. And he was saying like what I like in a sense about the trans ideology thing is that is a contemporary opportunity to, you're frozen a bit, a contemporary opportunity to show that you are the kind of person who will stick to your moral principles even when the world is against you. Because like obviously, just as everyone used to think that racial segregation was fine or whatever, everyone, like basically everyone's like, children, like trans ideology is not that bad, children getting sterilized, who cares? And therefore, we have an opportunity to show that we're like good people by standing against that. And like, great, isn't that good? You kind of have that confirmation that you are the kind of person who, if you saw something bad happening, you would do something about it. Of course, the funny thing is that Graham Linehan is pro-Israel and very, very pro-Zionist, like rabidly pro-Zionist. But I would say that the big similarity, well, not the big, obviously, there are many big, but one similarity between the Zionists and the TRAs is they are both examples of where like, these will be the things that you can ultimately kind of take a moral measure of yourself when you're like thinking, during like other things in the past, how would I have like reacted to it? Would I have just gone along with it because everyone else was? So yeah, they're both kind of like, they're the ones that really stand out in the current society of like, if you want to think, would I be the kind of person who actually stood up for what was right no matter what? And I know there's like that joke about like a liberal is someone who opposes every civil rights movement opposes every genocide except the current one, and supports every civil rights movement except the current one. And I feel like that's obviously, that's basically the criticism that people should bear in mind when thinking like, with this Israel thing, when I say like, black people getting civil rights, that was totally valid, definitely support that. But no, Hamas doing all their stuff, terrible, evil. So yeah, that's the final thing. And of course, it relates to the fact that we are that rare brand of heroes, and presumably many of the people watching, who, for both the two things going on right now that are like evil, but lots of people support them anyway, and lots of the media is saying these things are good, we're saying, no, we're not going to stand for it.
Yeah.
So, well done, us.
Yeah, we will definitely
go down in the annals of history.
Yeah. Yeah, Cooksonia has said, I get called a self-hating Jew and a self-hating gay all the time. And one time Glynis said that Gaza is a genocide, is a thought-terminating cliche, like trans women are women. And I commented, like, what do you think Israel has a right to exist is? Yeah, good work.
I mean, the thing about that is, like, I don't really know exactly what thought-terminating cliche means, because my assumption would be a thought-terminating cliche is something that doesn't really mean anything. But saying something is a genocide, that does mean something, because obviously, like, you know, like, it's kind of like you could easily say something like, I mean, this is literally a thing people said. People have said that woman is an adult human female is a thought-terminating cliche. I feel like maybe some people think that anything that's like kind of repeated is a thought-terminating cliche, but
yeah, like any slogan is a thought-terminating cliche. Yeah. But yeah, no, totally. Israel, like the right to exist is kind of almost meaningless, and like what they use to justify or what is justified through the right to exist is things far beyond simply existing. But also the, like, why would you want to attack trans people for just existing? Is like, the same as the trans thing.
Absolutely. I was going to say, obviously it's not too late for me, but it's like, is it 1 a.m. for you yet?
Yeah, it's about 1:30.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you maybe want to go. You have my permission to leave. You want to say something else?
I sort of was one, I sort of wanted to ask you about like how, or maybe talk a little bit about like the Palestine Action thing.
Yes.
And is there anything
I'm happy
that's happening with that you want to say?
So I think, to be fair, I probably don't have that much to say, because I think most of it is just obvious, which is essentially obviously the one thing I will say is, like, it's so satisfying. Like, I'm genuinely like so looking forward to when way more free speech rights get taken away from people, because on Reddit, like, every single time I go on Reddit, I just remember how much I hate Reddit, because it's filled with, like, I don't know, I guess, like, it's a specific kind of dickheadery where it's kind of like you just act like you're very smart. So like, well, when you think about it, you could just support Palestine without supporting a prescribed terrorist. Like, basically, like, they, rather than like actually recognizing the gravity of the situation, it's like, well, there is a solution that you could work out if you were smart enough. Anyway, with that said, every now and then I'll go on to Reddit now and I'll say, so the recent thing that happened is that Donald Trump came to the UK, and some protesters projected an image of, like, related to him. It was like a picture of him with Jeffrey Epstein, and he was like, where are the Epstein files? And they were arrested for malicious communication. And obviously, because Reddit, they're the type of Ponzi smart people that definitely do hate Trump, at least. Because obviously he's not a neoliberal. They were really horrified by this. But I was like, I could be upset too, but to be honest, I'm kind of just enjoying the fact that these are all like the people who I was saying, like, hey, maybe actually it's a problem that, like, pretty much non-violent protests against an ongoing genocide has been criminalized. Now, like, oh, I see, so you're a terrorist supporter. And now I'm like, oh, good. So now I can be like, I can't believe we've lost free speech because of Donald Trump. And I can be like, oh, I see. So you're a malicious communications supporter. That'll get him. So that's
a bit like how, like, the cancel culture thing has just reversed in the US, and now, like, everyone's like, you didn't care. I think that's how they'll get us. We'll all be okay with, like, going to the death camps or whatever, so long as the hypocrites on the other side are taken
that's
to.
kind of, Yeah, I have like a plan at some point. It's going to be every now and then I feel like making videos that will just be really unpopular and everyone will hate. At some point, I'm going to make a video about why I think the Second Amendment is actually not particularly good at doing the main thing it's supposed to do. And
Do you mean
with
the
that said,
first
no,
or the second?
the Second Amendment in that it's supposed to defend all the other amendments. Because I just don't think it
Right.
really
Yeah.
achieves anything. But yeah, with that said, it'll be because like obviously the thing that I get anytime or like at least for once for every community post I have made, not that I've made that many, about like free speech issues in the UK, I'll have at least one comment being like, oh man, it sure sucks that you guys don't have guns. And I'm always like, I just don't know. But anyway, with that said, I will feel like really happy if by the time that I get around to making a video about how I don't think guns would really solve the problem, Americans have to watch a mandatory like propaganda video before they're allowed to watch my video. It's like, this is from the Ministry for Truth about, and they're just like, and then they'll still leave a comment like, actually, if the government really we would shoot them all. It's just because we haven't yet. Like, but yeah, that's the thing. So, and also as far as like, so yeah, obviously the situation is that it seems to be getting worse. But then I also feel like there was some talk about maybe a what's it called, appeal. But then the other thing that happened is that, and this is great. So there's a watchdog in the UK that, like, an independent watchdog that exists to essentially say, oh, is counter-terrorism legislation hurting civil liberties? And the guy who is in charge of that, his father-in-law is the head of an organization called British Lawyers for Israel. So essentially, so basically, he's pretty closely related to a guy whose literally entire thing is how do we use the law in the UK to assist Israel, and he's the one in charge of determining whether or not the ban on Palestine action is an overreach of anti-terrorist legislation. So it's probably not going to work out very well. And yeah, the only other thing like worth mentioning as far as like reasons to despair is, did you see the whole like blow up from Jeremy Corbyn's party?
I saw that he was he's sort of in the process, I think, of trying to start one. That was about it.
Okay, so yeah, you don't know. So essentially, the problem is, well, it's kind of okay. So essentially, in fact, it almost works out well depending on the situation. But essentially, what happened is Jeremy Corbyn, I like him, but he's a bit of a ditherer. He's a real ditherer. He likes to dither. And like that's kind of, and essentially, like with that said, he started the party with a woman called Zara Sultana. And she, I think, essentially, like the very beginning of everything was that she essentially leaked the news about the party starting. When Jeremy Corbyn was like, "Oh, I wasn't ready for this yet," and then she like started allowing people to apply for membership. So you can like be a member of a party. I guess it's the same way in Australia. Like you can kind of be a member of the party and you like pay a little membership fee and you get to like.
Hang on, I've just come back.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
She leaked the news, and
she leaked the news of the party starting, which kind of like pushed things before Jeremy Corbyn was happy. And then she tried to start getting people to sign up for memberships. And then I was asking if in Australia you have the same thing of like being a member of a party.
We do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But then Jeremy Corbyn just went full on like well, I don't know. Basically, he then said he'd like released a thing saying, "Hey, everyone, cancel your direct debits, your membership, because we weren't ready to start it yet." So essentially, like as far as I'm concerned, and this was always my concern with Jeremy Corbyn, he's just very bad at like he seems to be he's a very bad combination of a control freak, but also. Oh wait, are you frozen? He's frozen. Oh wait, I can hear you though. I can hear you, but your camera's okay. Yeah. So Jeremy Corbyn, you had frozen for a second, hadn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Jeremy Corbyn, he's a very bad combination of a control freak, but also, what's the opposite to impatient? Like someone who's very slow to do things. I can't really think what the...
Right. Yeah,
he's very bad. So yeah, dither. That's the only term there is for it. So it's a very bad combination of a control freak and a dither. So essentially, he's like, all right, everyone, we need to make sure we do everything incredibly slowly. So that's always been my issue with him. And with that said, I kind of feel like his whole party thing is probably not going to work out. But the good news is that the leader of the Greens in the UK is now like very much left-wing, populist, anti-Zionist. There is the trans thing, but like he's definitely pro-trans. There's no way around that except for George Galloway, but whatever. He's his own thing. But yeah, essentially, it seems like maybe that would be a thing. But yeah, I suppose there's not really much of a reason to be optimistic, which is fantastic. We love that. I think his Wi-Fi's gone again. We should probably end it because his Wi-Fi's bad, but it's okay.
I'm gonna see if I can do something to with my router that might help the internet a little bit. Just hold on a sec.
Okay. Maybe while he's gone, I'll get an orange. Can't stop me getting an orange.
Oh, well, it dropped out again, so evidently that didn't help. Yeah, no hosts. No hands. So the last thing I wanted to discuss was trying to get some sort of a new lefty GC group going, which, that's the Lucid, Lasesh, various acronyms that I've been toying with. But I'll wait for Michael to come back. Yeah, thanks everyone for stopping by. There's a whole coffee table book of photos of Nazi soldiers cross-dressing. Yeah, it's a coffee table book. Book of photos. Yeah. Did Michael say something before he left, or?
Right. I assume it's fixed. Sorry, I decided to get an orange, the messiest fruit anyone could possibly get, because I was kind of hungry, but it's also approaching dinner.
Orange.
We don't actually have any food for dinner, so we're probably going to get fish and chips.
Cool. Yeah, I just asked everyone where you'd gone, and he's off to get an orange.
I'm glad that everyone's like there, just so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yes. The only other thing I was going to say is that obviously, like, we've also had a growth in like right-wing white nationalism, whatever, anti-immigration stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the annoying
Yeah,
thing about
same
them
here. Mm-hmm.
is that they're also really pro-Israel. It's like crazy because like they're like you literally had people flying English flags, British flags, and Israeli flags like in the
Mm.
marches. And it's like, at least be like it's kind of the worst of both worlds when they're
Mm-hmm.
literally
Mm-hmm.
like okay, if you want to hate immigrants, whatever, at least hate all immigrants. Don't be like, oh, we love Israel though.
Yeah, it's like such a dumb Nazi thing. Like, oh no, we got in trouble for hating Jews last time, so we'll just do everything the same, but we won't hate Jews this time, and yeah, that'll make it all okay. Plus, like, I just learned about how like not only did the proto IDF terrorist organizations blow up like the King David Hotel and target British, but the booby trapping their bodies. Did you hear about this?
Oh, I didn't hear about that. No.
Yeah, I forget. I have to find more information about it. But they essentially like killed British soldiers and then booby trapped their bodies so that if like anyone came to rescue them, they would also be killed. Yeah, this is like back in the
Yeah.
I think pre
It's
1948.
crazy. It's kind of crazy that we don't realize like as Brits that like Israel used to hate us, but of course it's worth noting, and I think I've said this before, that where I live, the home of Arthur Balfour, which I assume you know that name, is nearby, and they actually have the text of the original Balfour Declaration there, and whatever else you can say about it, it literally says in it like, this is conditional upon the fact that nothing be done to take away the rights of the population already there, basically.
Right.
And I assume you can like get access to that text. I assume they haven't doctored it for the sake of its legacy. But the thing is, I mean, it kind of makes sense because generally speaking, I mean, let's be honest. As far as like imperial powers go, Britain probably comes out on top of the moral podium. I mean, it's pretty difficult to have a moral empire, and like so generally speaking it's kind of like being the king of a mountain of crap, but I think we might just about get the crown there. But yeah, with that said, I think that actually when we established, when we're like, oh yeah, we'll do the Israel thing, we were like, but don't do anything bad. And of course, like the earliest like peace settlements were positively anti-Semitic by the standards of now. It was like, what? You want to split the land 50-50, you monsters? So yeah, it's worth noting that like as much as we like founded Israel, the Zionists still hated the UK because we were like, oh, but you can't murder all the Palestinians. Well, then we'll murder you.
Yeah. And any Brits that happen to get in the way. Just 1 second. Enjoy your orange. And yeah, I just got to go to the toilet and do a couple things. But I'll be back very quickly.
I hope nothing's wrong with his prostate. He's going to the toilet semi-regularly, isn't he? Might go for an evening walk. This won't give away where I am. I mean, I'm in a new place, but there's a village near me. But what's weird is it's a substantial village, and there's literally no Google Street View coverage. I'm like, that's weird. Like, is this like a cult? Like, why would there be a village that no one's? And I really want to go there and find out what's going on. Like, I think it could be a gated community because it's essentially, and this is a very common thing in the UK, a village that has been subsumed into a wider urban area. So even though I'm saying village, this village is part of a city. And I do wonder whether it's like perhaps a gated community because typically villages are slightly more upmarket, usually have some wealthier people. and this is almost in an urban center. So I'm wondering whether or not they've basically closed themselves off from civilization. Oh, he's moved again, so his Wi-Fi's broken.
Okay, yeah. So basically, I don't really know where to go with this, but I do think that like there needs to be some kind of lefty GC group that's like I used to think like
leftist.
Yeah. Well, I'm going with lucid now at the moment.
Oh, right. Let me work this out. Leftist Union is the L and the U Leftist Union?
No, and it's LOO.
Oh, I see. LOO. Lots of opinions concerning identity disorders. I just
that's better than what I had. Lefties organizing to overthrow self-ID. Yeah.
Lefties organizing to overthrow self-ID. Yes. Now ID, that's an interesting abbreviation. The I in ID stands for I, and the D stands for identification.
Yeah.
I stole that joke from someone else. Just I don't want anyone to. I don't want to get cancelled for stealing a joke. So
yeah, it is the greatest crime. So
almost as bad as stealing someone's land.
Yeah. It goes joke theft, genocide. Anyway,
Misgendering.
Misgendering. Yeah.
It's kind of like they had like the 3 R's. This is like the 3 J's: joke theft, genocide, and misgendering.
Yeah. So I basically just realized that like I knew that the majority of the TERFs, GCs, etc. in Australia were conservative, and there was like a minority of lefties, but it's only become sort of more and more apparent recently that every fucking single one of the more lefty-leaning GCs is also a rabid Zionist. Like the Zionist coverage is like 100%.
Australia sucks. So the one thing that like there's like a thing of like British people going to Australia on like gap years and stuff, and then they have to work as farmers. I don't know. Yeah, that's like so the one thing that you always hear when you come back is like Australians are so racist.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Australians, like just like the minute you like oh, thank God you're not black.
Yeah.
Dude, I was worried we're gonna have another darkie.
Yeah, it's like it's probably very akin to Israel, like in that surface we're like a democracy, but underneath we're like an ethno-nationalist, like exterminatory project. Kitty Cat says it's the same in Canada. I
will say it's kind of crazy that you guys like didn't but I found out like the reason why you guys didn't unify with New Zealand is because like New Zealand like actually has a good relationship with the natives, broadly speaking. So yeah, it's kind of like honestly the Maoris like it's a shame that all it took was for one of the native people to be pretty good at defending themselves and to not have too many resources, and it's like then everything's fine. Like you just think, man, like if I was like an Aborigine or an by the way, are they called Aborigines? Is that like a thing? Like,
no, that's a little bit like Negro.
I kind of thought it might be, but I didn't care. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Well, in the UK, we still call Native Americans Red Indians. So
right. Yeah. No. Like Aboriginals is probably like. Yeah. Like it's such a slight difference.
Oh, I see. So Aboriginals. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so anyway, yeah, I would be very envious of the Maori. I'd be like, man, why didn't we just I don't really know what I don't really know why it is the Maoris were so good at defeating the New Zealanders and like actually got a much more equitable settlement from it, but I assume they're just I assume it must just be race realist reasons. They're just
yeah, exactly. But anyway, so I wanted to so I realized they're all like crazy Zionists, which is bizarre because as you probably saw from the Sydney Harbour Bridge march, like the pro-Palestine movement is wildly popular in Australia. We've still got lots of problems in terms of like getting the government to listen to anything, but in terms of like public support, it's super popular. And so the idea of like we're going to try and move people on this one issue of like gender identity, but then every single advocate is going to be a rabid Zionist when like the vast majority of the population opposes Zionism, seems to be a little bit self-defeating. And like I used to be friends with a lot more of them on Twitter, so I would get into like various Twitter spaces where they'd be like discussing like upcoming gender critical events, and it would be ordinary for them to refer to, they'd be like, oh, so the terrorist rally is going to be on such and such a day and these types of things. And it's like, fuck, man, if you were actually trying to organize like a broad coalition of people, you have it's clear that's clearly not the intention. The intention that most of them have is like, we're going to defeat the left, and that's how we're going to they're only interested in like the success of gender critical ideas so long as they come through like the right wing, which
is insane, because ultimately like it's always going to ebb and flow. Like it's kind of like in my head, like whenever you attach a movement to left versus right, you're kind of, and like that's your strategy, you're kind of basically just accepting the fact that it's not gonna work out, because I don't think there's ever been a situation where it's just been like the left.
And now, like, and because their big thing was like, oh, but look how much, like, look how far Trump got. And we got lots of legislation passed in the US under Trump. But now it's like, yeah, but look what's happening in the US at the moment. And if that goes, he's going to get out of power at some point. And then all those ideas are now irrevocably attached to potentially one of the most unpopular presidents. Like if George Bush was so crazy it led to Barack Obama, like what the fuck is is Trump gonna like result in? And
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, you're instantly gonna like lose all that because it was just based on like partisan politics. So I have I think that there needs to be like an explicitly
and that
left wing.
That was your pitch to Rupert Murdoch about why he should support your left wing gender critical. You were like, well, you really want to win, send me in.
Yeah. So I don't know how to really like. Well, I have ideas, but I just don't have a lot of time to do a lot of this stuff. If you're interested in potentially like working on some kind of thing like that, where we get a sort of I'm imagining something Let Women Speak like ish, of like open mic-y type public gatherings. Like initially we probably like, depending on the numbers, like it might even just be meeting at a pub or a park or something for a like something that doesn't require amplification because there's like a dozen people there or something. But just to even like get that going and start presenting, this idea that it's not just, right-wing lunatics who are into these politics.
Well, I have often thought.
Yeah.
Some people, might say, hey, loser, why do you just spend all your time talking behind a computer screen? Why don't you actually ever go outside? And the answer is, because I'm afraid of people. But recently, there was this guy who got really famous starting a university-based conservative platform where he would debate people at universities. And he's like really famous. Like everyone's been talking about him. So I've been inspired based on that to start an. So I was thinking we could go around universities in America and say, "Hey, we're going to debate trans people, and see how that works out."
Yeah.
No. I mean, the thing is, it bewilders me how people are able to start organizations. I'm as confused by it as you. So my dream would be that someone else did all the hard work, and then they said, "Hey, would you like to join?" So my advice would be find someone who you can interview who has a history of starting organizations, and mention it to them. I'm just trying to think, because obviously you and I, it'll be quite difficult for us to do anything in public together because of how far away you are, and I in turn am from you. So, and unfortunately, you are the only left-wing anti-Zionist in Australia. And I'm just trying to think who is a decidedly left-wing anti-Zionist gender critical person, I should say. Of course, not the only left-wing anti-Zionist. I'm not quite sure, even in the UK, that George Galloway, but there we go. We've mentioned him. I'm just trying to think in terms of like YouTubers and kind of content creators and internet personalities who especially stands out. Could do Anna Kasparian.
There's one you could go to like a Galloway, like whatever his party things are, and try and like find people there. But also Jyoti.
Oh yes, yeah, the whole communist thing, yeah.
I actually think that's the Communist Party that Magdalene Burns' mom was a founding member of. She's going to be, apparently Tara is going to be interviewing her on Morbid Symptoms sometime soon. So she might be someone to tell to make this group for us.
Okay, sorry. The reason why I laughed is because I went to type in Morbid Symptoms, and I typed in Morbin Symptoms, and it reminded me of Morbius. like when they'd be like, I liked when he said it's Morbin time and morbed. I liked when Morbid Symptoms said it's morbid time and morbed all over the place. I think. I recently said on my channel, which you don't have to watch every single video from, and I won't be offended from the lack of that, even though I do watch every single one of your videos, but then you make videos less regularly than me. So maybe you don't feel too bad. Basically, I recently said, I had a very frank discussion where I said, I think that I'm running out of gender critical topics. And then I floated the idea of doing a, an international relations podcast, because my formal university education is in international relations, and people are reasonably okay with that idea. So with that said, my plan is to kind of move to interviewing people in a capacity going beyond the gender critical thing. And that could work with that, essentially, is my brain. So, because, obviously you could talk to people and then be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. So that is actually an interesting confluence of purposes. And yeah, so, and I think Lucid is a good. It is actually a good name, and it's so much better than Lysist. Because Lysist had, because Lucid. That's like, I mean, you could. I wonder if it would be possible to make it so that it actually is spelled like actual Lucid. It doesn't need to be. But I'm just wondering because it would be. I think it would have to be leftist union of Confederate independent districts.
Dilettantes.
Yeah, let's ask Grok.
Yeah, oh, I've been there, man. That's how I came up with Lysist. I still need that 5 reasons I'm not Catholic, KC. Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah, I mean that's completely out of left field.
Yeah.
Like, so I think it should be called Lucid. Should be the C should stand for Catholic, and it should be a specific convergence of leftist anti-Zionist gender. Like people would be like, you'd like meet Jyoti Burrows like leftist anti-Zionist gender critical. Like, yes, and also we hate Catholics. Like, okay, that wasn't actually where I thought you were going there, but. Yeah, I mean, maybe it could do well in Ireland. I feel like a lot of Irish people would have, like a lot of leftist people in Ireland would have a. Although I don't know, it's one of those weird things. It's always funny to me how like, have you ever seen that like kind of joke about? It's like every single person who's like Catholic from birth I've met has been like, yeah, I just think we should be like a good person and try and help people. And then every single Catholic convert is like, according to the Council of 472, women shouldn't be allowed to drive cars.
It's a bit similar to the way that out of country like migrant groups, so like say you've got like a big Greek population in Australia, they'll do things that they think are Greek because they're like holding on to their heritage that people actually in Greece like don't do anymore because they're not like, you know, compensating for the fact they're not in Greece anymore.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that back in the 1870s, Italians were putting pineapple on pizza. And now it's just those purists over in America who are like, hey, a lot of people don't realize that Domino's actually started, and those wacky modern Italians have been like, oh, let's do our Neapolitan fresh buffalo mozzarella. Yeah, I don't know. It's really funny because essentially, like, clearly England sucks because like every single immigrant community that's left England has just immediately become totally different. You know, like Australians and Americans. You're all.
It's sort of, from what I understand, like it wasn't like Australians used to consider themselves British until like really recently. Like I don't know when it was, but it was sort of like the 70s or something. Like they were just like, no, we're like English people away from home kind of thing, which makes sense.
It's kind of cute. It's just lame to have like the other country on the opposite side, like basically to have more than half your country and less than half in terms of population be on the opposite side of the planet, because otherwise we basically are like, in my head I'm like, what I find crazy is that like just taking, like, everyone talks about the British Empire, just taking the parts that are decidedly Anglo, so like by which I mean like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, people call it Kanzuk. Yeah. Have you ever heard of Kanzuk? Yeah.
No.
That would be the largest country by land area on the planet, because Canada's pretty big, and then you add Australia into the mix, and that takes us over Russia. And it's like, I feel like in a sense we really just sit here like acting like, America, China, India, they're all, even Russia, they're all like the big serious countries. But we never forget that if we just all put aside our differences and just came together in our mutual love of King Charles, then then we could be the biggest country in the world.
Yeah. The problem is that Australia is basically empty, whereas like Russia is full of people. Oh, okay. Quick, the two things. I
People.
want
You
I
mean
want to get to.
imperialist monsters?
Yeah. I want to get to Kitty Cat is saying some things that
Yeah.
I want to talk about. But someone was watching one of me and Tara's stream where I brought up the fact that or the idea that the reason British women got the vote just when they did was because Russian women were about to get the vote and they wanted to. Yeah, and she was like, that clearly didn't happen because, and then listed these like examples like women in South Australia, which is a state in Australia. It's not just the south of Australia. They got the vote, and like other weird little places also got it earlier. But then like Canada got it just before the Russian Revolution, and then America got it 2 years afterwards. And she was like, see, it had nothing to do with the Russian Revolution.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, one, when the Russian Revolution happened, that was like more people, more women than all those other places you're talking about. And like two, a lot of them are weird, like colonial outposts where they could experiment with stuff like that, which still came post like communists arguing for universal suffrage anyway. But then, yeah, like Canada got it just before and America got it just afterwards. It's like, you don't think there was any fucking relationship? Like the same way that like Social Security in America wasn't a thing until the Russian Revolution. And then they were like, oh, okay, we're going to have to break off a little bit of something for our working class. Otherwise, this is going to look bad. Like, anyway. So that's just one thing I wanted to say. But,
yeah. Oh, so by the way, I've got, so we're talking about Lucid. Here's my Lucid. Someone made a suggestion, but here's one that was made by one ChatGPT. Leftist union countering identity dogma. I think I like identity dogma. And I think like, so there's also, I asked like other, so there's basically critiquing, challenging, confronting, countering, contesting, criticizing, condemning. Okay, whatever. So I would say probably, maybe countering. Leftist unified in countering.
United?
Identity.
Leftist.
Leftist united in criticizing you, because the N doesn't have to be, that can be a little lowercase n. Because I don't like leftist union, because that implies, but you could say, because union's about, it's a thing, whereas united is it's a state of being. So leftist uniting in countering identity dogma. And people would be like, and people say, we're joined by Lucid. And we'd say, yes, we are very lucid. How's that for some self-ID? We'd say.
Yeah. I think I still like the double O because I think it's clearer, and I think the
I've actually forgotten
being lucid as well as being like also actually lucid. Leftist organizing.
Think of lose.
Well, yeah, it's not hard to turn it into loser, and that could be what our supporters are.
How's it going, losers?
Yeah. But anyway, so Kitty Cat was saying, first you might want to set up a website laying down your group's purposes and goals, email address to have people sign up for new events, etc. Help to screen people. That's true. And maybe we could do another live stream at some point and sort of get people who are interested in brainstorming about how this might look, or even do a Twitter space. And then we can have like an actual discussion with more people. And then there's also the important task of fundraising for events, which you can do through either independent community fundraising or set up a 501. It's probably different in different countries. But because Kitty Cat, you're in, where did you say you're from? Are you from the States? Bulletproof. Canada.
Yes.
Yeah, she's in Canada. And then there's
am I right?
Yeah. There's someone else, Comrade Scar is working on our on a banner thing, like the thing I have of Chappelle and Finkelstein and Magdalene Burns and Jody Bra. Yeah, she's working on something like that, and she's from Alaska, I think. So we could end up with like a little.
Yeah, we need a New Zealander.
Yeah, a New Zealander. My collective was the one who set up the caravan to, I don't know how to pronounce that, to help create allyship with anti-pipelines going through. Oh, right. Yeah, I've seen that. Kitty Cat, do you know Submedia? They're like an anarchist collective from Canada that does like propaganda. Used to be like a big fan of theirs back in the day. Leftist United countering identity deception. Ooh. Yeah, that works. But I think like self-ID, having that in it, yes, I know him. We've partnered with him before. Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, because people know what self-ID is. Yeah.
Yeah. But we can, when we get a website, we can put a poll up and have some decision making happen that way.
By the way, I need to actually start working on dinner because
no worries.
That orange isn't going to help that much. But yeah, I did want to say, by the way, I'm pretty sure there was a really deep pull from a YouTube. I genuinely can't think what video this is of mine, but I think it must be from back when I streamed, because this was like a very off the cuff thing, which is this guy. So the guy, somebody said, surprise Chat GPT is allowed to discuss such things. But the thing is, he spelt it Chat Gippity. And that's because I remember one time I was responding to some trans person and they said Chat GPT. And I was like, why did they make it sound like an Indian person? Like, hello, my name is Chat GPT. And I'm pretty sure that's what the person is referencing. I was just like, oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that just sounds like an Indian name to me. Hey, this is.
I think there is another
Mr. GPT for the same chat.
There's like another language that Chat GPT means something. I remember seeing. Yeah, but anyway. Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll talk to you soon. This has been great. Thanks for coming.
Yes, and I'm glad that it worked out much better than I thought it was when it was taking you ages to sort everything out.
Yeah.
It was almost, oh goodness me, it's a shame people never heard the hellspawn sounds when we tried doing it with the echo on our phones.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Anyway, all right. Bye,
cool.
everyone.
See ya. Bye.
See you all tomorrow.